Hi, my name is Luke Enerson at Integrated Counseling and Wellness, and I wanted to take this morning and afternoon that I have on Saturday to put together a series of videos that I think will be really important, and they are important to my current clients as well as the folks who may not want to come into therapy but would like some skills or some tools that they can use, maybe even to avoid therapy. And then for folks who are clients with another therapist but want some additional tools and might not be getting that as part of their process, my intention is also for other therapists to be able to use this. Complementary alternative medicine has shown to prolong how should I say this? When somebody gets feeling better and they're no longer clinical and they're ready to leave therapy, if they've been able to incorporate complementary alternative medicine, they're not going to need to come back sooner, or they'll come back less frequently. And that's my goal. My goal here is to work myself out of a job. So some of the topics that we're going to be covering, I wrote them on the whiteboard, and I don't think that you can really see them, so I'll read them. But we're going to go over what the stress response is. We're not going to go over everything. But we're going to go over enough to be able to help folks deal a little bit more soundly with some mild anxiety. Again, this is not clinical. I guess what I'm saying is if you need to go see a counselor or your doctor, please do it. Don't interpret this as being a therapy session, because it's not. It's more of a wellness session. And so we'll go over the stress response. We'll go over the power of the breath. The breath is really cool because it's something that we can use to manage our stress response. And it's something that we can use and other people won't even really know that we're using it. So if you're at work, if you're busy, if you're at a desk, I've worked with healthcare professionals who, that's pretty stressful, or for attorneys. They don't have time to be able to go and lay down and do a meditation or something like that, or even to take a walk sometimes. So the breath is something that's really powerful that we'll use. And I'll show you how to use that a little bit to calm down the nerves just in your everyday life. We'll go over some common herbs that I use that don't have contraindications or very little. Everybody's different. But that I feel safe enough in saying, hey, you can use this herb for this issue, and if it's mild, and it usually does a pretty good job. So we'll go over some herbs. We'll talk about how the triggers to stress, or the triggers of anxiety in particular is going to be a focus of this series. The triggers of anxiety, how we can turn those around and help those, make those into helpers. So the trigger becomes the helper in our goal of gaining control of our anxiety. And my wife, who's not here right now, she'll probably be here in a few minutes. She's a certified yoga instructor, and she's a yogi, and she'll walk us through how to do a few poses. And that's why I'm dressed the way that I am, dressed pretty casually, because I think that anything that we're doing in this series we should be able to apply in day-to-day life. So I'm not going to be all in spandex, heaven forbid, trying to do yoga. I will be doing some very basic yoga poses with her instructing me how to do them in Levi's and a normal shirt. And then the last thing that we'll talk about is how to understand other people. And this is going to be especially important for couples and for folks who are raising families. It's also important outside of that realm as well. But I've learned that folks who really understand how to be deeply empathetic with other people, they frequently deal with anxiety and stress in a much different way, in a much more positive way. And when we can learn how to do that well, it's a big step towards becoming mindful. And there's just loads of research about mindfulness and how that can help us long term, both in preventing us from coming into therapy and to helping us not to come back or less frequently. So yeah, that's what the topics of the next series of videos are going to be about. I hope you stick around. If you don't, you know, you're not going to be interested in all of these probably, but just go to what you need. If you have questions, go ahead and post them. I'll answer what I can, but again, this is not clinical. This is just to help, and it's more of a service to folks out there who might be struggling, who don't want to come in for therapy, and for folks who I've seen, but and they're wanting to prolong needing to come back. So, okay, we'll get started.